Alright, today we're going to go over how to create a quiz in Microsoft Teams. It's super simple and I'm going to walk you through each of the steps. So first what you need to do is make sure you're logged into Microsoft Teams. You'll want to click on the Teams icon in the left-hand navigation bar to see your courses listed out in cards. I'm going to click on the course that I want to assign the quiz to. So I'm going to do that in this session, training session Kirby. You'll choose whichever course you want to assign your quiz in. So I'll click there. The one thing I need to make sure is that I am in the general channel. So if I'm not there, I want to click it. You can tell that you are there if it's highlighted in gray. I'm going to go over here and click on assignments. Another good way to tell if you're in the general channel or if you're not is if you don't see assignments, files, class notebook, grades, all those are only on the general channel. So I'm going to click on assignments. Now I'm going to choose Create. I'm going to choose Quiz. The next thing that I want to do is, because I'm creating a quiz from scratch, I want to add New Form. So I'm going to choose New Form right here. That then takes you to the Forms page. You're going to choose New Quiz. Click that. Now, you're going to want to first start by titling your quiz. You can add a description or an image or anything here that you'd like. Next, we'll start by adding a question. These are the two most used questions that you'll have. This is a choice, which is multiple choice, and this is a text question. So we'll start by adding a choice. I'm going to click Choice. Alright, and right beside number 1, I'm going to add my question. Underneath there, I'll add my answer choices. If I want to add more answer choices, I'm going to click Add Option. And one thing I want to make sure that I don't forget is to choose the correct answer. To choose the correct answer, simply go to the answer choice and choose the check mark right beside the correct answer. So now you can see that I've notified that this is the correct answer. I also want to go ahead and make sure that I choose to click this little slider here. I want to slide that over to make sure it's green because I want this to be a required question. Every question should be a required question. Next, I want to add the point value for this question. So that depends on how many questions you have, but for me, I'll just give this question 5 points. And I'm done. You can see that I have 5 points added to this question. I can see that the correct answer is George Washington, and this little red asterisk shows me that this is a required question. So this is what it looks like for me. It's not going to look like that for your students. They won't see the correct answer. But just for you, so you know that you've done that correctly. But if you see that you haven't done something correctly, you can always just click on it and edit it further. Another thing that I would like to point out is that these 3 little dots right here are the More Options menu. You can click More Settings for this, and you can choose to shuffle your options. I think that would be the most helpful one because that would shuffle the answer choices here to where they aren't the same for each student. The next thing that you're going to do, we'll add a question here, and we are going to add now a text question. So again, you can add an image to your question if you want them to label something or tell you what a part of maybe a cell or a state or somewhere is. You can do that as well. But we're going to add a question here, and we're just going to say, what are the Articles of Confederation? And I want my students to answer that question. Now again, you can see that it inherits those points. So if you want to change some of the point values to be greater for some things than other things, you can always do that. You can add options for answers here in a short answer question, but just remember that this would be one that you would need to double check just to make sure, because there could be some slight variations. So if I wanted to make this more of an essay type question, I would then choose long answer instead of short answer. So if I chose short answer, it changes to where there is no option to add correct answers because I do have to go in and grade that. Another thing that you can do right here is you can choose to move the order of the questions, and you can dump the question if you don't like it. If you want these questions to be in a certain order, you can always move them up or down. Once you're done, you'll notice that each of these questions are assigned 5 points and there are 2 questions. I'm going to go up here to this little bar here where I can do a few things. I can change the way my quiz looks by clicking Theme. I can choose any theme that I want. And let's say that I like that one. I'm good to go on that one. And then I can also come over here to these 3 dots here and change some of the settings for this quiz. I want to leave a lot of this the same. I don't want to change much of it. But one thing I might want to change is this shuffle questions. This is a good one to change. If I click shuffle questions, that would mean that every time someone answers or opens the quiz, that the questions are in a different order. So that could help prevent any cheating or passing answers along if you choose to do that. The others we will edit within Teams, so we won't have to do that. Another thing that you can do is preview. This will show you what this quiz is going to look like for a student. So if I click preview, I can see what it looks like for a student. One nifty little thing is you can choose to look at it on a computer, or you can see what it would look like on a mobile device for your students. You can see that all the student's going to have to do is click submit and it's done. Another nifty thing is that this is built in with screen readers. So if a student needs this read or needs help, they can click that screen reader and it will read right there for them. So now I'm going to click back to go back to my quiz. And I'm done. I don't have to do anything else to my quiz. Now I'm going to officially assign my quiz. So I'll go back over to my team. I'll click create again. Make sure I'm in general assignments. And I'm going to click create quiz. And I'm going to choose the quiz that I just created and click next. Now we have the options that we have on every assignment. We can do a couple of things here. We can assign it to all of our students, which is what we want to do, which is great. We don't want to change that at all. We can assign it to multiple classes, which is super cool. If you wanted to only create this once, it would duplicate it and assign it to multiple classes, so you don't have to go through and create this assignment many times. The next thing that we're going to want to do is, instead of changing the due date and the time here, we're going to click edit directly under due date because we're going to want this to have some specific options here. We're going to want to make sure that we schedule the assignment probably in the future. Unless you're scheduling the assignment for that day at that time, I would suggest scheduling it in the future. A lot of us are going to do that. So we might schedule it for Thursday the 16th at 9 a.m. and we are going to choose a close date. We're going to choose the date whichever we wanted that due date to be at 11:59, and we're going to close that at the same time. So you want to make sure that you choose this close date, especially for a test. I think most of us will choose that option, because if you don't, then the student will be able to turn in late work. And I know that most of us are not going to want late work, especially on a quiz or a test. So you'll want to choose the schedule in the future if you want this to be scheduled for a day in the future. And you definitely want to choose a due date in the future from that, but also choose that close date so that the quiz will close and the students won't have the option to go back in and do it again. Then we just click done. You'll notice that it inherited the points that I put on that quiz and the title, so that's all there for us. And we're just going to click Schedule. Now, when you're ready and when your students have completed your quiz, you can see on the side here who has completed and who has not, and quick at a glance, and you can see that this quiz is scheduled. But if I wanted to go in and look at the grades for a quiz that's already been taken, I can just click Grades. And I can see, for example, on this quiz here that I have my student and their grade. It's all in a spreadsheet form, and I can go across and look and see anything else. Now, one thing you might notice here on this test, it says turned in. I would click here to open student work. When would you do this? Well, that's whenever you have that essay question. So I could go in and open the work and check on that for that student, and then return it when it's done. Returning the work lets the student see their grade. So that's it. That's how you do a quiz. Hope you found that easy. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out.